Will think that South Africa is a black nation. Black people were always a minority in Africa in historical times. We tend to think now of Africa as being a country of black people, a continent full of black people. It's not true.
Wagwan family, today's video is a little bit tricky because I had a history that I've never had before. A history that I don't know, is someone just created a history and decided to tell people about it, because this one is funny and it's out of this world. I never had it before, and I don't think it's the right one. Now the video of today, I'm going to talk about this white person who he is giving history about Africans not being indigenous of Africa. He is saying that Africans are thinking that they are the people of Africa, that they are in the indigenous of Africa. He is saying that it is not true, that the white people were the indigenous people of Africa before Africans invaded Africa. I don't know which kind of history is this. Let's hear this.
Black people were always a minority in Africa in historical times. We tend to think now of Africa as being a country of black people, a continent full of black people. It's not true. At one time, there were three different types of people living in Africa. There were the Berbers, who lived in the Sahara before it became a desert. They were white people, and they lived in North Africa. In the south, there were the Khoisan, what sometimes known as the bush people. Yeah. They lived over most of Africa, right as far north as Uganda, Kenya, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, South Africa. There weren't any black people living there. There were only the Khoisan people living there.
Now, this white man is saying that, those years before Africans coming to Africa, it was the Berbers who are living in the North Africa, and Khoisan to the South Africa. Now he is terming Khoisan and the Berbers as white people who are living here in Africa, and which makes it so, it's not confusing to me. But when we feed people, or when we feed this generation with this kind of history, with this kind of concoction and corrosion of mind, it is dragging us Africans back in times. Because the Khoisan, they have this brown complexion, the brown skin, and why is he terming them whites, and yet they are not whites? Khoisan are the indigenous people who are found in South Africa. South Africa, Zimbabwe. They were the first people, and we call them Bushmen. But we all know that Khoisans are Africans, though they were speaking in Bantu language. But it's kind of funny how we or they are trying to rewrite the history. They are trying to rewrite the history so that the history, can align with their narrative, because they want to make sure that us as Africans, or the generations of Africans, they want to make sure that we don't feel like we own anything in this world. They want to make sure that we think they are the people who are supposed to be here in Africa. They want to make sure that we as Africans think that they are our gods, so that we may worship them. And the Berbers, by the way, from the North Africa, the Berbers are the indigenous people who were on the North Africa. They are brown in complexion too. Now he is terming them as whites.
They're white, these Bushmen.
They were white people. They were white people, and they had an oriental appearance, had epicanthic eye folds. They looked Asian. These were the original humans. These were the first Homo sapiens that came into Europe. They're still living on reservations in places like Botswana. About 2,500 years ago, a group of black people called the Bantu, who were living in West Africa, started to expand outward. They started farming, and they began to expand outward into the rest of Africa, and they conquered or exterminated everyone that came into their path, or enslaved them if there were any survivors. So they enslaved the pygmies. They killed all the Khoisan except for a few of them that they used as slaves, And it was the Bantu that conquered Africa. That's why we think of Africa as being a nation where black people live.
He is saying that according to his history and his narrative, that the Bantu are the Africans who invaded Africa and started pushing towards South Africa, killing the Khoisans, because he is literally saying that Khoisans are white. I don't know, again, he's saying that they are Asians. Now he is saying that the Bantu are the one who invaded Africa, and the Bantu are Africans. Now, according to him, there is an agenda that he wants to pass through. There is an agenda they are trying to push, and the agenda is to dislocate Africa, and the agenda is to disarm Africa. The agenda is to bring no peace between the African brothers. They come to realize that Africans, we are full of fear, like we fear whites. They realize that we fear them, so wherever they will say, of course there will some Africans that they will rethink and say, yeah, and buying the agenda. And buying the agenda is killing Africa. Buying the agenda is, it is an awkward history. I don't know where this guy came from. I don't know what is he talking about, but because I came across it, I say, like, let me talk about it.
The Bantu spread out through Africa, and by the 16th or 17th century, they were approaching South Africa. Now, sometimes people think that South Africa is a black nation, that it belonged to black people. It's not true. The black people, the Bantu, hadn't reached there when the white people arrived in the 17th century. At that time, the Khoisan, the bush people, were living there, who were white people, indigenous Africans. And so the Bantu and the white settlers both exterminated the Khoisan.
Oh no. I don't know, or I don't want any of this history to be, to be written down for our generation. I understand. There is a lot of things that people want, or the white people, there is a lot of lies they want to, to put inside our minds and inside the Africans people, because a lot of Africans people are, are easily swayed by the white lies. There's some people who are saying that, or the whites, or people are saying that we don't like whites. It's not true. We don't trust whites. We don't like whites, but we don't trust whites. Simply because any small chance we give them to trust, they fail. So according from the history from back then, there is nothing to trust about. Any small thing or any small space, on every small chance they get to invade Africa and to steal something, they grab that opportunity. So it's not that we don't like them. We don't trust them. I may like you, but I don't trust you. If you laugh with me, I don't know what you want from me. Anytime I see a white person, or anytime I see a Western country engaging or discussing with a black country, I get fear in my mind. I get fear. I don't know what these white people want to this country. Anytime I see the United States of America engaging with Kenya, with President Ruto, discussing this and this, I get fear, because I don't trust them. I don't know what they want in Kenya. I don't know what they want in Uganda. I don't know what. They have seen something here in Kenya. That's why they are engaging with the president. So it's not that I don't like whites, but I don't trust them. For me personally, I don't trust them, according to the history. So this white man narrative and history and lies, I don't know where he get it from, but somehow he is selling it. Somehow he is talking about it. Somehow it is on our ears. Like, funny. It's so funny. This topic gets me think that it's so funny how the whites came to, some places, like this history they have been writing that Christopher Columbus discovered this area, what Livingstone discovered this and this discovered the Lake Victoria, they discovered the places in Africa. How can you discover a place where it's already been discovered? Just because Africans did not have a written, written history, written something, that's why, and the whites had written it down. That's why we are going with their history. They came to Africa, they invaded Africa, they grabbed lands in Africa. Now this is another narrative that is coming up, that when that whites were already in Africa. Okay, so who was grabbing land from who? Is it the Bantu were grabbing land from the whites, or the whites were grabbing lands from the whites, or who is who? Of course, Africans were here in Africa when the whites came, the colonies. So this history of bringing in the Khoisans, saying that Khoisans are not whites or the Berbers are not whites, is the history that is corroding minds of people. Now, even in now age, you may find the countries from the north like Egypt, Algeria, they are saying that they are not Africans. The other time you heard stories of Somalis saying they are not Africans. It's because, when you are so brown, you think you are white. When you are brown, you think, you are above everybody. Because there is a thing I usually say, that white people has, they don't have the mind of them. They don't have things like resources and everything, but in Africa we have a lot of resources. So they will get they will come with any plan to invade Africa. First they started with colonization. Colonization went down with a lot of killings and everything. When we defeated them, they knew that they will no longer be here in Africa colonizing us, but they live behind the system of political system. They are the one who created the political system. They come with the churches, the missionary and the Bibles, so that when they went back, they were using what they brought here in Africa, education and everything, to start twisting things. Now here as Africans will be told that you need to study until where you have the papers so that you can get a white collar job. They call it white collar job. Why did they call it white collar job? Because it's their thing for you to study and have degrees and diplomas so that you can get the white collar job. Because these other jobs are black collar jobs. If I'm doing a job of farming and mining and everything, it's a black collar job. Yeah, man, we have churches where you may find this church and this church fighting each other, or religious like Muslim and Christianism, they are not into good terms. Now, I came to understand that, or I came to learn that is where the whites get opportunity to come through and make it easy for them to still having to control the political systems and indirect colony. They came with different languages, like you may find this other country speaking French, this one speaking English, and others. We forgot our cultural language, like our indigenous African language. You may find a country like let me say like Tanzania, they no longer speak their language, they speak just Swahili as their language. You may find in Kenya, we have tribes like Luya and everything. But because we want to be in white collar job, we may learn that one language, which is English, so that you can run across everything. So for today, I may say that in today's video, I had an history that I've never had before. A history that I never thought of having or of hearing it before. I have had a history that is too corrosive. Tell me in the comment section, what do you think about this video? I don't know. Until next time, don't forget to subscribe on this YouTube channel. It will be amazing. Peace, love, and unity every time. Africa, strong. Let's do it an African way.